Let's now bring you details of the judgment of the Supreme Court earlier today as captured in this report by TVC News' Celestina Area.
There must be an end to litigation, and this is the end for the appeal filed by Labour Party and its presidential candidate, as well as the PDP and its presidential candidate, as the Supreme Court is the final arbiter. Of course, our justice system says he who alleges must prove, and today the Supreme Court held that the Labour Party and the PDP failed to prove all the allegations they have made against the president's victory in the last presidential election.
Firstly, the court ruled on PDP's interlocutory application to bring in new evidence to prove its case against the president. The evidence was President Tinubu's Chicago State University certificate, which they had obtained from the US. The court held that it cannot be assumed that jurisdiction can be conferred on the court by parties. The court cannot invoke Section 22 of its Act after the 180 days for the trial court to deliver judgment has lapsed. A petitioner cannot amend its petition after the 21 days allocated for filing petition has lapsed in line with Section 134 subsection 7 of the Electoral Act. The court subsequently declined jurisdiction and dismissed the application. In the main appeal, the court held that a petition seeking to nullify an election on grounds of non-compliance must establish it. The appellant abandoned their duty to prove non-compliance. They relied solely on INEC non-transmission of election results real-time. The failure of IREV does not stop the collation of results. The unavailability of election results on IREV cannot be a ground for which an election can be nullified. On the issue of 25% of votes in the FCT, the court held that there is nothing wrong with the Court of Appeal's decision on this issue. On the PDP's allegation that the president did not win 22 out of the 36 states, the court held that they failed to produce alternative results. The Supreme Court adopted the position held in the appeal filed by the PDP in the appeal filed by the Labour Party. Both appeals were dismissed for lacking in merit. Celestina Area, TVC News, Abuja.
Celestina Area has been following the case from inception. She joins us live now from Abuja for more on today's judgment, which marks an end to litigations on the 2023 presidential election. Celestina, one resounding message has been that this is an end to litigations. What really is the import of this statement?
It is the end because the Supreme Court is the final arbiter, and we also call it the apex court. So whatever decision or judgment the court has delivered today, the parties must be bound by the judgment. No matter how aggrieved or unsatisfied or unhappy you are, the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court. And it is a unanimous decision or judgment. We record that the justices of the Court of Appeal, 5 in numbers, the justices of the Supreme Court were 7 in numbers. The Court of Appeal's decision was unanimous. That of the Supreme Court is unanimous. Because if the Court of Appeal did not do justice, we would expect maybe we will see a dissenting judgment from the Supreme Court. But it was a unanimous judgment. So it is the final arbiter, and whatever the Supreme Court has said or is saying stands. So what it means is that President Bola Tinubu can now focus on governance. It is not mediation where you say, okay, they can come to a compromise. No, this is litigation. So if there will be reconciliation between the parties, it's left for them to reconcile. But as it stands, no matter how unhappy you are, you have to abide by the decision of the Supreme Court.
Judiciary correspondent Celestina Area for us in Abuja. Thank you, Tina.